That Horizon is on again next Sunday afternoon at 25 to 3 on BBC Two. How to be a professional mum and dad. That's the concept the Better Baby Institute in Philadelphia is offering to parents in a week-long course. And QED discovers what effect it's had on a Sussex couple and their 3 children on Wednesday night at 9:25 on BBC One. Horizon, next Monday night at 9:25 on BBC Two, sets out to discover what happens to criminals who are judged to have mental abnormalities, and visits prisons, special hospitals and health service psychiatric hospitals to discover whether it's better to be prisoner or patient. And now on to 3 novelists get together for conversation with Frank Delaney.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, a writer not often seen on television, Muriel Spark. With her, later in the programme, 2 younger novelists, Harriet Waugh and Anne Wilson. After Muriel Spark's first novel, The Comforters, had been published in 1957, she seemed to become immediately prolific. In the next 6 years, she produced a volume of short stories and 7 more novels, including those for which she is now perhaps best known, Memento Mori, The Ballad of Peckham Rye, The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie, and The Girls of Slender Means. She has also written literary assessments of Charlotte Bronte, Mary Shelley, Wordsworth, Cardinal Newman, and John Masefield. She's a very singular writer, immediately identifiable for her calm and detached point of view. She now spends most of her time in Italy, whilst here she has begun to attract writers writing about her. The Scottish novelist and critic, Alan Massey, who lives near Mrs. Spark's birthplace of Edinburgh, has written a critical biography.
I wrote a book about Muriel Spark some 5 years ago, but I suppose I've been reading her for at least 20 years before then. I was, I think, first attracted to her work by a review by Evelyn Waugh, and the adjectives that he used were such as witty, elegant, and gruesome, and they all seem very agreeably applicable to her work. Muriel Spark was brought up in Edinburgh, in one of the staidest and most respectable parts of that city, generally considered staid and respectable. Her family was a mixture of Scottish Presbyterian and Jewish, and those 2 strains are, I think, very important in her work. They give her a sense of moral consequence, that your actions have consequences which you cannot escape, which is very Old Testament, and which creates, when set against the elegance of the manner, a very curious and effective tension. She hasn't written many books set in Scotland, indeed nothing since The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie, which is, I would say, of course, the most quintessentially Edinburgh novel. Indeed, one Scottish critic has said that since Miss Jean Brodie, her work belongs to English literature rather than Scottish literature. I don't think Scottish literature is so rich a novelist that we can afford to dispense with Muriel Spark. Nevertheless, and nevertheless is a very Muriel Spark word, she said she became a Catholic on the nevertheless principle, and she writes many of her novels on the nevertheless principle. It's a very Scottish word too. Nevertheless, there is a sense in which what he said is true, although I think it is too narrow to say that she belongs to English literature. She belongs to world literature. I don't like the word international, but she is an international novelist. She is one who appeals to Americans and Europeans as much as to English and Scots. She lives and has lived for a long time out of Britain. It is possible to call her an exile. She has lived in New York and in Rome. She has written about both of them. In a sense, of course, all writers are exiles, and her being an exile gives her work a detachment. It enables her to adopt what is one of her most attractive characteristics, the dandy stance to her material. She is always standing outside her work and shaping it. One of her novellas, The Hot House by the East River, opens with an amazing scene about a woman sitting